Okay, so in this video we're going to go through how you use Microsoft Excel to make the graphs that we're interested in trying to find out these relationships, to see if there's a correlation between the various variables that were listed in this sheet of basketball data. So I've followed the link and I've gone to the NBA player data, and you can see that I've highlighted all of the data that is in that table. Now I've also gone over here to Excel and I've opened up a new spreadsheet here. So I'm going to open up a blank workbook here. And so back over here, I'm going to, after highlighting all the data, I'm just going to hit Control C. And then I'm going to come back over here, and in that top corner, I'm going to do Control V, and I'm just going to paste that data in there. Okay, so now I've got all the data into Excel, and I want to start looking for the correlations between these variables by making my scatter plots. So the first one it asked us to do a correlation for, or check to see if there's a correlation, was between field goals and points. So if I click on the very top, that D up at the top of the column involving field goals, notice that it highlights the entire column. And if I hold down Control, and then I go over and I click over on the H over here, top of the column for points, it highlights that one as well. So I've got those two columns all the way down highlighted. Now I'm going to go up to Insert, and I'm going to go over here to Charts, and I'm going to find the one here that looks like a little scatter chart. And I'm going to hit the little down triangle beside it, and I'm just going to choose that scatter plot.
Hello, Mr. Treat. Please contact the main office. Mr. Treat, please contact the main office.
And there's my scatter plot right there. Now there's a couple of things I'm going to want to add to this. I'm going to want to add titles or labels onto my axes. So I go up to the top here, top right hand corner of the graph, and I click on this plus, which lets me add chart elements. So I'm going to unclick the chart title because I don't really want that, and I'm going to check the box that says axis titles. And you can see it pops up these two little boxes for me to put my axis titles in. So if I just click in there, I can put, let's see, the horizontal axis is field goals, and the vertical axis here is, let's say, total points. And there's my graph. Now, if I look at this graph, yeah, it looks like there's a correlation between these two variables. We've got a strong positive correlation. Positive because it's going up towards the right, strong because all of those data points are really clustered together all along a line that we can imagine drawing through the middle here. If I were to estimate the correlation coefficient here, I would say it's something above 90, maybe above 0.9, maybe 0.9, 0.95, something like that. All right, let's go to our next graph here. We wanted to see if there was a relationship between minutes played and field goals. So that might make sense. The more minutes you play, the more, minutes played and total points. The more you play, the more points you're going to score. So again, we'll click on C here, to highlight that entire column. Do Control and click on H again to get total points. Insert. Find the little scatter plot here, and there we have it. Our scatter plot points and minutes played. Let's just undo that and make this a little bit bigger. So let's do the same thing we did again. We're going to get rid of the chart title. We're going to add on our axis titles. Down at the bottom here is minutes played. And at the side here is total points. And delete that word title in there. Okay, now when I look at this one, you can see that the data kind of abruptly starts at 1,000 for minutes played. And that's because when I was selecting this data that we were going to use, I only chose data for players who had played more than 1,000 minutes. So we can rescale this axis, the x-axis, so it starts at 1,000 to get a better look at the data. So I'm just going to go onto that, sort of hover over that horizontal axis there, over the numbers there. Then I'm going to double click on it. And it brings up this Format Access sidebar here. So I'm going to look for bounds here, and where it says minimum, I'm going to put in 1,000, and I'm going to hit enter. And you can see how it scales that entire graph over. Okay. Now, is there a correlation here? Yes. Again, we see another positive correlation. This one might be a moderately strong correlation. It's hard to tell just by looking at the graph, but it might have an R value of maybe 0.65 or 0.7, somewhere in there. So it does look like there is a correlation between minutes played and total points. Okay, the third one we were supposed to look for was between age and minutes played. So, do you play more minutes as you get older? Do you play fewer minutes as you get older? Who knows? So we want to highlight column B, hit Control, highlight column C, insert, find our scatter plot, and there it is, minutes played. Now let's move this one down so we have a little bit of space here. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see it a little bit nicer. And again, let's get rid of our title, add on our axis titles. This is going to be age at the bottom. And I guess I could say that this is in years. And our vertical one is minutes played. And again, you can see that the data only occupies this one little corner here. So, and this kind of makes sense because you don't get to start playing in the NBA until you're at least 19. So I'm going to change the horizontal axis so it has a minimum of, let's say, 18. And I'm going to change minutes played, the vertical axis, just hover over that and then double click. Oh, let's try this again, double click. Right there. And I'm going to change the minimum down to 1,000 again. Okay, so now we see a whole bunch of data all over the place here. So we would say that there is no correlation between age and minutes played. So those are the three graphs that they want us to make. We found one with a strong positive correlation, one with a moderately strong positive correlation, and one with no correlation.